Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's session with Spacetalk as a part of our NWR Vantage Point conference. Before we hear from Simon Crowther, who's joined us today, CEO of Spacetalk, just a couple of quick reminders. The format of today's presentation is designed to be interactive. We'll aim to hear a quick sort of 5 or 10 minute overview from Simon, addressing a couple of slides, followed by some Q&A. We do encourage the audience to submit questions anonymously through the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. And we'll aim to wrap today's session up by around 9:25 a.m. So without further ado, Simon, I can pass it over to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Sam. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for the introduction and to NWR for hosting the event. I'm excited to be able to introduce Spacetalk and to those of you who may be new to our story, also to be able to build on recent developments and to offer some further insight to those of you who may be aware of the company and interested to join us on the future journey as well. So we've got a few slides to share with you. Hopefully you can see those slides okay. And we'll kick off. Thank you. But first, an introduction. I took over the CEO role in February as I saw the significant growth potential of the company. The new things needed to probably change. Together with my COO, Craig Bosher, and the support of the board, we've embarked on a rapid and disciplined reset of the organization, and I'll touch on that more in a few moments. But there's much to like about the sector and our brand. The wearable sector continues to grow, and Spacetalk has established a valuable presence in the category. With original and innovator and creator of a kid's smartwatch, with the functionality that parents want and need to ensure their child is safe when out of sight. We all want our kids to experience freedom, but also have the peace of mind as to their whereabouts. And Spacetalk has been providing this valuable service to families for many years. We continue to refine our Adventurer range of watches, and last week we launched our Adventurer 2, a solid update on the previous model, which included several enhancements around a more sophisticated design that we think will likely skew slightly older, appealing to slightly older kids, enhanced comfort, and swappable straps so kids can choose the color combinations that best suit them. But selling watches is only part of our growth story, and I would like to take a few moments today to provide you with a bit of an overview of our focus goal with the leading provider of safety, security, and peace of mind products and services to families in Australia and New Zealand. Simply put, Spacetalk will provide safety at every stage of life, not just the kids. Next slide, please. I mentioned a few moments ago that I've undertaken a rapid restructure of the organization during my first 90 days. This is really a statement of intent and to reassure you that we are not just the same organization of the past. We now measure our performance in our ability to deliver against our strategic plan that we socialized with the market on the 10th of May, which now anchors my comments today and all future updates. Spacetalk really is a new company with a new ethos and capability. It all starts with the people who will deliver the growth plan. We now have experienced operators in the organization. In 90 days, we've filled all the key roles, for the most recent announcement yesterday of Jamie Simonton joining as our VP of Engineering, Peter Scott as our Head of Product. We are now a software-centric, hardware-enabled business, and our future is about building a large, profitable ecosystem of products with our watches being a hook. Those of you who know me know this is not my first leadership role, and I'm applying all the same principles I did when I led Nearmap as CEO for over 5 years, from a prototype technology and pre-revenue to successful and profitable subscription business. I have exactly the same objectives for Spacetalk. Next slide, please. We have a plan and are disciplined in our execution. I have a couple of the principles to share today and expand on that guide the business now and day to day. We're laser focused on achieving profitability in Australia and New Zealand and fully activating all the sectors we've identified. We talk a lot about the whole of Spacetalk. This means an integrated approach to our various services that are interlinked and coordinated. No more silos or outliers. For example, our schools business is now part of the Spacetalk ecosystem. We fully believe a unique part of our offering and a valuable way of connecting schools and parents in the future. We're developing a platform that's whole of life oriented. This is a shift to embrace families from young kids, tweens, teens, parents, and grandparents. We already have a growing subscription base and recurring revenue of 7.8 million, which we detailed in our Q3 update. Our focus is to continue to grow recurring revenue and introduce new subscription products during the year, and continue to grow our fledgling MVNO wireless network, Jumpy SIM, soon to be rebranded Spacetalk. Our wireless network, our school service, which reaches over 10% of Australian schools and hundreds of thousands of families, and our ability to establish deep relationships with kids over many years to come as they transition through different growth stages and provide trusted services to mum, dad, and grandparents on a subscription basis is what makes us and Spacetalk compelling. Next slide, please. Our new ethos and approach mean that we are focused on our brand and customer alignment. A few months ago, as you'll see on the left, we had a range of separate brands and services, all uncoordinated and lacking focus and integration. On the right, we are one Spacetalk, and our market opportunity is clearly defined as we embark on building an ecosystem of products that are tightly integrated and focused on serving the needs of young families, schools and educators, and seniors and vulnerable families. We've also identified employers and workers as a future opportunity to be explored. Next slide, please. I totally understand that investors expect results, and I completely agree. It's been necessary to set the business up for success by having the right people and the right plan that I categorize as being phase one, which we have successfully completed. Phase two is now about execution. So what can you expect to see in the coming months this year? We're continuing to upgrade the way we show up at retail and on online. Our retail support and point of sale has been redesigned and reset the category, I believe, for marketing communication. We're more engaged with our retail partners and continue to enhance our web presence to allow us to transact more effectively and to deepen engagement. We've kickstarted the development of our age-agnostic security and peace of mind app, and we'll provide further updates as to the timing of the first release. The launch of this app will enable us to migrate young kids from our watch to their first mobile handset and retain them as users and customers for a much longer period. Our family dashboard will enable mum and dad to configure the whole family's Spacetalk services, including configuring parameters for grandparents who will be Spacetalk Live watch users. We're focused on further developing a range of family services from Spacetalk Wireless, moving from the current core offering of data plans for our adventure watches to a broader mix of plans for each member of the family. We're also close to being manufacturing ready of our new budget-friendly watch, codenamed Eris. It will offer great features for a lower price point, so we cater for a budget-conscious parent. These initiatives will have a significant impact on our business and the ability to attract and retain new and existing customers. Next slide, please. Looking further ahead over the next year to 2 years, we will continue to optimize sales and margins and look at new product refreshes in line with customer and segment demand. Continued growth of our e-commerce business, continued development of our Spacetalk wireless business, and careful maintenance of our retail partnerships are a focus. There are 2 key things to pull out, which will be, first, our constant evaluation of overseas opportunities, as we have aspirations to be an international business once our scalable platform and digital products are bedded down in Australia and New Zealand. Plus, our continued refinement of our data strategy. You may have noticed on one of the earlier slides when we're looking at the key people on the business, we're going to introduce data science to our organization in the near future. Data, database marketing, and data-based engagement with our users and customers is really at the core of our business going forward. Next slide, please. To conclude, we've embarked on significant change at Spacetalk, and we are now a new and focused organization. We have the people and the plan. In the coming months, you will see the new digital product innovation start to be socialized with the market and further updates as to the growth of Spacetalk Wireless and growth plans for our schools business. I was, and I still am, convinced that the future of the business is compelling. Thanks very much. I'm very happy to take any questions.
Thanks very much, Simon. That's a great overview. You showed the sort of team slide there. You've assembled a pretty high-profile team since arriving in, I guess, less than 3 months. Are there any additional holes you're looking to fill? And I did note that last night you've announced the addition of the VP Engineering and Head of Product.
So we've got all the main members of the leadership team now on board, all experienced operators, all with track records. So I'm satisfied now that we've got a great team. We're now starting to execute. As I said, we established our priorities from a product development perspective, our age agnostic app, and our ability to be able to retain young kids as they move through those life stages is really important to us. So I'm really looking forward to being able to socialize that with the market in the next couple of months. But yeah, the only key new hire for us in the future at the right time when our app is fully developed or further developed will be our ability to attract a top tier data scientist into our organization so that we're able to manage our data in the most effective way.
Okay, great. And just changing gears to the Adventurer 2 that was launched earlier last week. Can you give us any color around the initial reaction to the launch? Maybe just elaborate on some sizing, dimension, and sort of feature differences versus the Adventurer 1, and then just how you'd expect sales to perform through the end of the calendar year.
From a retail engagement and sell-in perspective, very satisfied with what we've achieved. We'll know in the coming weeks, how well it's selling out, but there's every reason to expect that it's going to be very pleasing. A lot of support from retail. We've revamped and upgraded our point of sale materials as well. I'd encourage everybody on the call or the next in JB Hi-Fi to check out what we've done there. I think it's reset the category in terms of marketing communications, which is very, very pleasing. We're just much more engaged with our retail partners than we've ever been before. So I think, very optimistic, very pleased with the performance from the team in terms of the sell-in, and we're going to be monitoring the sell-out closely in the coming weeks as well. In terms of the actual watch itself, I would call it a solid enhancement on Adventurer 1. We took on board the constructive feedback that we've had from users and parents, kids and parents over the last couple of years about Adventurer 1. And the main things are, in terms of design changes, are a change to the watch face itself. I'd say it's much sleeker. We think it's going to skew slightly older in terms of appeal as well. So that's good. So it just looks cooler and a sleeker device. There's been some changes to the overall kind of shape, so it just feels more comfortable on the wrist as well. Comfort was one of the key things we wanted to address with this release as well, so we've done that. And also, we've introduced swappable straps as well, so that kids can customize it to their own specifications. And again, the pleasing thing about that is we're seeing a great deal of interest in that customization and those straps as well, which are also an accessory for us and also a nice high margin product for us when it comes to revenue. So all in all, a really solid launch. Very pleased with the way that we've shown up. Upgrade to our website, point of sale, a nicely improved watch as well. Solid support from retail. I think we've set ourselves up well.
Okay, great, thank you. And just a couple of questions on the international growth plans. You've identified a couple of key horizons within the strategy. Can you just help us think about that international growth piece longer term? Is it just a function of trying to get the domestic market right first and foremost before potentially stepping back into international markets further down the line?
Well, look, I think we can't ignore the past. I think it's important for us now as a business to show that we can execute, which is my absolute primary goal. We have a focused plan, and we're now going to show the market that we can deliver against that plan. The overwhelming objective is to show we're well on the path to profitability in Australia and New Zealand, which flows from our ability to focus as an organization, to be able to execute as an organization, and to build our reoccurring revenue base, which is really important. So getting to cash flow positive and generating cash in Australia and New Zealand, is a really overwhelming priority. I think also at the same time, we're constantly evaluating our overseas options in terms of markets. But I think the key thing is to have the business from a platform perspective ready to scale. And having been through this before in my previous role, I know how important that is to prevent any kind of misfire. You've got to optimize your systems, optimize your processes, optimize your people, and also the cost of being able to scale the platform as well is important. So all of those things are being thought about now and being kind of manufactured in to our new platform going forward to give ourselves the best option to be able to scale offshore in the most cost-effective and efficient way.
Great, thank you. That makes sense. Can you just elaborate on the on how the age-agnostic app will work? Can children bring their own device, such as an iPhone?
That's exactly what we want them to do. So realistically, in a family dynamic, I've got teens of my own, we've all got kids. At some point, they get a hand-me-down first mobile device. The lucky ones get a brand new one, but in most cases, the hand-me-down device. At that point, we want the child to be able to take the SIM out of their Spacetalk watch and to really simply insert it into their new mobile device. We haven't been able to do that before. So at that point, when they're ready to give up the watch, we effectively lost them as a user, as a customer. Now we're able to, with our age-agnostic app, we're going to be able to cater for the child at all those important life stages from tween and teen. So that over time, we'll be able to demonstrate that we're going to be able to retain that relationship over many more years to come. So, like I say, instead that watch may be repurposed and handed down to a younger sibling, brother or sister. And meanwhile, we retain the older child and continue to engage with them kind of going forward as well. So the age-agnostic app not only allows us to be able to extend that the relationship with the child and the value that we're able to derive from that relationship going forward, but it also allows us to be able to have grandparents use it as well, and to be able to set up their devices, and also mum and dad. So there's a whole range of benefits that kind of flow from this app that we don't currently have available to us, and opens up the market to us. So it's pretty exciting. That's why it's so important to us to be able to get this into the market as quickly as possible this year.
Okay, great. Thank you. And just stepping back to the Adventurer One, you recently highlighted the company was continuing to sell through some of that the Adventurer One inventory. Are you comfortable with how that's?
Yeah, very. We're really across our inventory. We're really across our retail relationships. I think big step up, big upgrade in terms of the capability and expertise we brought into our organization the last couple of months. Steve Benton's joined us as VP of Sales, formerly Sales Director at Dyson. Completely different approach. How we manage our inventory, how we forecast has gone up, significantly in terms of sophistication. And every day we're reflecting on where are we in terms of our inventory levels around Adventure One, and we're extremely focused on selling out and supporting the sellout of the remaining Adventure One stock as quickly as possible. There's also going to be plans that we're thinking about how we might be able to support growing our MVNO, our Spacetalk wireless product using Adventure One as well, in order to be able to encourage people to take multi-year subscriptions. So there's a lot to come, and I've committed to the market in previous conversations, but we'll be an organization that commits to giving as much information as we can, not just relying on statutory updates to the market. I want to be able to socialize some of the work that we're doing. I'm excited about it, and I think it's going to transform the business.
Okay, great. Thank you. Would creating a watch with an eSIM locked to a Jumpy SIM or Spacetalk network make it easier to create a watch with water-resistant rating? And if so, what's the company doing around considering potential new product launches such as that?
Good question. There are pros and cons for us from an eSIM perspective, because an eSIM effectively locks the device, but also locks the device when you come to maybe want to upgrade to a mobile device as well. So it's something that we've considered, something that we're continuing to consider. I think it's not necessary in relation to the second part of the question about the water resistance of the watch. That's a function of cost and specification in terms of the IP rating as well. There's no doubt an integrated SIM and eSIM would help that, but also the watch needs to be to meet certain specific IP specifications. I think we're always looking at it. We're always considering it. No specific announcement at this stage in terms of the configuration of the budget watch, except to say, we're going to have robust standards. It's going to be durable. It's going to be a good product. But I think importantly, it's going to allow us to be able to also reach a new type of customers, perhaps more budget conscious, and also more margin to us as an organization. From a manufacturing and sourcing perspective, we've done a much better job on the budget watch, and where I think I'm very pleased with the potential of that in terms of the contribution it's going to make to the business.
Okay, great. Thank you. And just sort of sticking with that same theme around engineering, you obviously announced, as I said, the engineering VP and the head of product yesterday. Can you just explain to us, what the sort of key deliverables are from those two individuals and their teams?
Yeah. So this has actually been stated several times. Happy to commit and restate it. Is the number one priority from day one is the stabilization and growth of our school service. We're big believers that our schools products and services, incredibly valuable and force the future of the organization. We want to grow that business. And so, being able to add new features and enhancements and stability of that service is really, really important. So schools, our age agnostic app is the number one priority. Work has already started on that. And I'd say those are the two key things. The third thing would be, in parallel with that, would be the growth and the development of our offering around our Spacetalk wireless network. At the moment, we have a limited offering, done very well, considering the fact it's only launched last year. Many thousands of subscribers already. We want to see significant growth in that part of our business. So how do we expand that offering? Better clarity around our plans and our offering and our value proposition. You'll start to see that in the coming kind of months as well. We want to expand the plans. We want to be able to offer both voice and data plans to all members of the family, not just the kids and wearable devices. So that needs to be put in place. So I think there are the three key drivers of our business in the coming months.
Okay, great, thank you. And you mentioned data science a couple of times. Can you just elaborate on some of the initiatives you have in mind there? We've got
lots of unstructured data inside our organization. We're capturing lots of data from the watches and have been for years. There's been no real plan or thinking around how that could, for example, be utilized, in an effective way. I think bringing some order to that unstructured data, being able to understand how we're able to use it is important. That's where one aspect of how we want to introduce data science inside the organization. I think the other thing as well is, how do we deepen our relationships with our users? Our users, they slice in different ways. We have fledgling relationships directly with schools. We have fledgling relationships with parents of kids who go to those schools. We have relationships with the kids themselves who attend those schools. Understanding how we show up, how we brand ourselves in the right way, and how we reach that audience from a Spacetalk products and services perspective is an untapped market for us at the moment. And that's something that data science will sit at the actual center of that in terms of how do we communicate with them on a regular basis in an appropriate way.
Great, thank you. And maybe just time for one more question. What does success look like in the Australian market in relation to the kids watch? Is it a user number that you're targeting in terms of success? Just try and help us understand what success looks like.
I think success, there's a couple of aspects of that. I think the monetary aspect of that, the commercial aspect of that is being able to clearly demonstrate to the market that we have a high margin, profitable business model that's both scalable and affordable. And we're able to demonstrate the fact we've executed on what we said we were going to do. That's the first thing. I think that fully activating all the sectors that I've talked about during the course of this presentation over the course of the next 12 months is absolutely key as well. So that's what success looks like for us. And I'm also aware of the fact that as a subscription business, we need to start messaging our metrics to the market going forward as well. And that's something, as this matures and stabilizes, that's something I'm committed to doing as well. So I think we will be in a much better position as an organization and people will fully understand the progress that we're making when we're able to break down some of those numbers. I'd just like a little bit more time to be able to do that so that, later in the year, we can start to message a bit more effectively to the market some of the growth metrics that we're already seeing inside the organization.
Okay, great. Thank you. I think that's probably all the time we've got for questions today. If there are any follow-up questions or you would like to connect with management, please reach out. And Simon, maybe I'll just pass it back to you if you've got any quick closing comments.
Well, thanks everyone for joining. I really appreciate it. We're at the start of the journey. I think it's a really interesting story. I think you've seen a lot already in the first 90 days. The next 90 days will be equally transformative inside the business. You'll start to see that trickle out into the market, and I look forward to sharing all the progress that we're making in the coming months. So thanks very much for your time today.
Okay, great, guys. Thank you very much for joining the session with Spacetalk. That completes the session. Goodbye.
Thank you.